Oh my God, I just totally got catfished. He looks absolutely nothing like his picture.
So I found out the guy that I've been dating is married with kids. His wife just reached out to me.
Welcome to the meat market. The single scene is a slaughterhouse and we are here to devour it. We are your hosts. I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Jess.
And today's sizzling single is Jenna. Welcome, Jenna.
Hi,
Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
So you tell us that you are the queen of the crazies. We want to hear your stories about these pathological liars and these narcissists that you were telling us about.
Yes, I don't know what kind of energy I'm putting out, but apparently it's that. And no, exes, dating, I just feel like I don't know. I don't know why or who I'm finding, but they are all the wrong people. So,
are you not learning your lesson? Does the universe keep sending you the same type of person because you're not listening and learning your lesson?
That is exactly it. That is literally, it is the universe just like over and over and over again. And I feel like finally, I'm 45 years old, and I have finally learned my lesson with these things. And I don't know, but yes, I have crazy ex stories, crazy dating stories.
So what's one of your craziest stories that stands out?
I think, weirdest one most recently was a date. This guy seemed seemingly normal, and I went out on a date, and I found out he is a polyamorous Dungeons and Dragons player.
Wow.
Wait, what does that even mean?
I don't know. I had to Google it because I'm like, what is polyamorous? Like, I'm not like a prude, but I don't know these, I know what a swinger is, but I'm like, polyamorous, what is that? And so he has a girlfriend, and then the entire date, and I'm like, okay, first of all, time out, Sir Lancelot, this is not going to work. But it was like, okay, but I'm curious. I'm just curious about how this works in your life. So he has a girlfriend, and he apparently loves, Renaissance fairs and totally playing, making, weapons and things like that, and doing it's almost like
LARPing. Lindsay, did we not just talk about this the other day? Live action role play. Is he a LARPer?
I don't know. Or what's the one where people the cosplay one? Or
that's LARPing.
Okay.
The live action role play. Yes. They dress up in their Renaissance gear and they go to a park and they have their wooden swords and they sword fight with each other.
It's like the Civil War reenactment.
Yeah,
it's something like that. Yeah, and so I'm like, I'm going to stay on this date because I'm just kind of curious, honestly, about your world. But I'm like, but no, this is not.
Are you sure he had a real life girlfriend and not just a Dungeons and Dragons, like a character in his video game girlfriend, a virtual?
I don't know. I didn't ask to see pictures, but I was very curious because I'm like, who is this lady?
Right.
Yeah, this guy.
So they were wanting you to join in on this.
I see, and I think that's the difference. It's not like a swingers thing. I don't think it's not like a menage kind of situation. It was more like
join our couple,
kind of do whatever.
I
never really got into. I kind of put the kibosh on it immediately because I was like, I'm not.
You're if I ask too many questions, he might think that I want to be a part of this.
Am I like a queen or a princess? Where do I fall in this situation? So yeah, I was just not having that.
That's funny. I wonder if his girlfriend knows that he's going out on dates.
Oh, I wonder.
Or if I wonder if he's in a polyamorous relationship, but she's in a monogamous relationship.
He said that she knows.
Okay,
and I think, again, the polyamorous thing, I think that's part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. That one was really weird. That was the strangest one where, just pure curiosity's sake on that one. Probably
where were you before you go to the next one? Where were you on this date? Were you easily able to get out of the date, or were you stuck a while?
It was like a happy hour thing.
Okay.
Because I don't want to get, I'm like a coffee happy hour person. I don't want to do full dinners.
So he didn't indulge this over text message or when you're communicating
before you met
online before you met.
That's what was so strange about it. But he immediately led into it.
It
was like, okay, now that I've lured you here, the old bait and switch, now I'm going to tell you.
He's thinking, I'm so cute, I'm going to be able to talk her into this.
Well, and I think it probably is trial and error, right? Because if he's told women over text before and they always then don't agree to a date, they're like, no, I don't think we're right for each other. He probably doesn't get a lot of actual dates if he tells women that beforehand.
Yes.
So he thinks, I'll just wait until I get them in person and I'll tell them in person because right? Possession is
And then I'll
99% of the law.
I'll share this
if I have
exciting
her.
news with
yeah.
them.
Yeah.
This exciting news.
Congratulations,
Surprise, surprise.
you've won the golden ticket. Like, I was like, oh my God, no, I haven't.
That's hilarious.
That's funny.
I think though, like the worst one as of late, I went on like a golf date with somebody. I'm a big golfer. I'm not like I'm not like Tiger Woods or Nelly Corda. I'm not a fantastic golfer, but I love golfing. And so I go on a golf date thinking worst case scenario, I get 18 holes out of this. You know, it's great. This guy, he was a pilot. I was telling you about this one. So he was a pilot, and I'm
They're
thinking
the worst. Those pilots. Stay away, run.
I know. And it was like I was told for like a major airline, but now looking back, I'm like, it was probably some regional airline, that this guy
Spirit Air. No, just kidding.
Let me guess, Frontier. Okay. And so he has a career. Okay, thinking normally he's a golfer. So I'm going on this date. He opens up with, my RV just burnt down. Okay. And I'm like thinking, is it in your driveway? Like, did your house catch on fire? Like, no, this is where I was like living. This is my home. It's an RV. And I'm like, why is this guy living in an RV? And then he starts showing me photos of his dog that died in the fire.
Oh.
And I'm like, what?
That's
Okay,
tragic.
we're like 2 minutes into this date at this point, and I'm like, what is happening here? And I'm like such a empathetic person. I'm like, do you want my dog? Like, I mean, I don't know what to offer you right now. You want to come over and walk my dog a couple times a week? And so that was just very odd to me. And then he's like, well, now I'm living in this like basically like halfway house for.
Is it
like
a crash pad?
A kind of.
So that's very
yeah.
common for pilots. They just rent a room wherever they're based, and they share a house with 6-7 other
Yes.
pilots because
Yeah.
they're always traveling. So
Yeah.
it's pretty common.
Okay, so that's like a legit thing.
That's a
like
legit
I
thing.
was like, in my mind, I'm thinking it's some like halfway house for airline professionals. I'm like, I don't know, maybe it's like a rehab center. I'm like, I don't know what's happening
funny.
at this point. Yeah.
And in his defense, I spoke to my husband about the RV, and he's like, that's pretty common if there's a pilot that isn't married with kids, for him just to live in like an RV on some land, because they're never home really. They travel all the time, especially if they love to travel on their time off. A lot of them don't bother having a mortgage.
But if that's your life, like if you're living in a trailer, and so if your trailer and your dog is your life, right? Don't you think you should have your life together before you try to date?
But why wouldn't his life be together if he's living in a trailer? Maybe that's
It burned down
Oh,
and
it
his
burned
dog
down.
died.
Oh,
Like his
oh.
life is not together.
Yes. Jess, that was exactly my point
Like,
to him
that's
was,
true.
are you sure you should be dating right now when you're living in a
Yeah.
house with 10 other people?
It's true.
And I'm like, is this really the
Good
time?
point, because what is he going to bring you home to this house full of 10 pilots?
Yeah.
Get your insurance money. Get a new
Get a new
RV.
trailer.
You
Yeah.
know, find a great spot somewhere.
Yeah.
And get a new dog. Then maybe start dating.
Exactly.
true.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. You can totally live in an RV and have your life together. If that's your life, that is your life. Have it together. But this guy, it doesn't sound like he had his life together.
No, apparently not. I mean, and again, it's like, it's a 50-year-old person. So I'm thinking, you've got to have your life together at this point. So as the date goes on then, it's like, okay, so now we're golfing. And everything. Okay, I have a very dirty sense of humor. Like, I have a pretty filthy mouth and a dirty sense of humor, but I can't show it on dates because men lose their goddamn minds. And then it turns into a weird direction, and all of a sudden they think anything goes, like with this conversation. And I said I don't even know what I said, but everything after that, this guy, any mention of a golf ball turned into balls. Dirty balls. Do you want to touch my balls? Do you want to clean my balls? And it was like,
Sounds like my husband.
and I can appreciate, like, I have that sense of humor, but I'm like, good Lord, man, like,
bit
come
much.
up with something else. And so it was just balls and balls and balls and balls the entire time. And then at one point, it was like, he grabbed, like, as we're in the golf cart, he grabs my head and, like, goes and shoves it down,
no, that's-
like, to his crotch.
Oh, hell no.
And it was like, what about these balls?
No, golly. That's
Wow.
Gonna be a no
Was
for
he
me.
drunk?
Yeah, I mean, he had like a couple beers, but I mean, I'm like, oh my God, like what have I gotten myself into? Now it's like, okay, and then what do I say? Because I am not a confrontational person. So I'm so uncomfortable at this point. And it's like, I mean, we're on hole like 7. Like, we've still got a while to go here. And it's like, do I call and have them bring another cart out? Do I have them take me back? How do I end this? And I I'm like a trooper, and I like kept golfing, and it was just like,
Finished out the back nine. I would have been like, you know what? Listen, those were a great 9 holes. I don't think I'm going to be able to finish this round.
That's why you need your escape number, your escape friend.
I should have feigned some like digestional like issue or something after 9 holes, and I should have called it quits. But again, I was like, I paid for my own round. So, I mean, it's like, a couple $100. I'm like, I'll be damned if this guy and his ball comments are going to like cut me out of 18 holes here.
But were you winning?
So, and that was the other thing. I usually like, I don't love keeping score because I get competitive with myself. And when I'm just like having a good time, a lot of times I don't keep score. And he was adamant about keeping my score. I'm like, I don't want to, but go ahead. Like, have at it, us. Like, if you want to. And it was like, and I could tell, like, he was getting annoyed on some of the holes that I was, like, beating him. And so, I don't know, maybe he had to, like, flex and then, like, shove my head in his crotch.
Maybe try to assert his dominance a little bit because you were a better golfer than him.
I don't know. It was that one, like, truly, like, as a whole was like the worst one.
Did he let you tee off from the women's box, or did he insist that you both tee off from the same tee box?
You know what we did? We started like from the whites. We did, and then I like moved. I kind of like go back and forth sometimes depending on like how I'm playing. But yeah,
because that probably pissed him off even more too if you were teeing off from the same box.
Yeah, it was just I mean, and I think I don't know. I feel like over the years, like I'm like a tomboy at heart anyways, and I'm like competitive, not with other people, like but with myself. And like the feminine energy, like over the years and of being like a single person is just like draining quick. Where like I feel like my masculinity, like that's like up there right now. And I want to get it down, but I just need to find someone that like can allow me to do that.
So you said you've had a lot of crazy golf trips or crazy travel stories. Do you like to travel?
I do. I love to travel, and I found that I just go by myself now. Like none of my friends golf, like none of my girlfriends golf. We like play tennis together, and I've even been like, come on, people, there's like amazing spas. You can do a spa day, I'll go golf. And no one ever takes me up on it. So I just plan these trips. Like during the summer, my son is with his dad, and I just like will do these like 4-day like long weekend trips, and I just pick golf courses or concerts or things that I want to go to, and I go by myself.
So do you get hit on a lot at the golf course? Because you're a beautiful woman, and I know that golf is typically a male-dominated sport. Am I correct? So I bet you get hit on all the time, no?
I mean, and I was telling my friends this the other day. I'm like, how hard is it for me to find a guy? Like, I golf. I'm going out there all the time and golfing. And, like, yes and no. I feel like I'm always paired up with, like, old men, and then they're like, oh, my son lives out of state, And I'm like, well, okay. But even some of the courses around here, it's like the starters, like the people who work there know me, and they're like, I'm keeping my eye out for you.
You got everybody playing matchmaker.
I know.
That's
I'm like,
funny.
This is so sad that like these random people are doing that. But I don't know. And then I'll get asked out a lot by like younger guys when I'm golfing, which is, I'm in this weird age, I feel like, where these younger people ask me out, but I'm like, I'm not.
You're not into that? Because I know we were talking about how that's becoming a trend, younger guys dating older women. You've never tried that, dabbled in that?
I've done like a couple like golf dates with people, and like I was golfing this one time with these two like 20-somethings, like their age together combined, I don't think even matched my age. Like they were that young. And I don't typically, like, I'm not a huge drinker, but we were like doing shots and it was just like, we were having a good time. And then afterwards they're like, come on, like, let's go to the bar. And I just remember like, I'm pretty lit at this point, and I don't usually get like that. And like, it was a cringe moment on my behalf. Like thinking, like those moments where you're like, oh God, I can't believe I did that or said that. And it was like a Mrs. Robinson moment. Like I was sitting, like we're at like this like high top, and I remember like taking my foot and like caressing this guy's leg next to me. To this day, this is like years later, I still like my stomach hurts like thinking about it. I'm like, what was I doing?
And they probably went home. Well, did anything happen with either one of them?
I was
did
like,
you end up?
I was texting my friend. I like went to the bathroom. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, these guys are like 25 years old. I'm like, I don't know if they're into me or not, or if I'm supposed to go have a menage with them. Like, I don't know what is happening.
Because that's probably what they were thinking. They were probably like, you were in the bathroom and they were probably like, dude, we're totally going to take
Tower,
this.
baby.
Yeah, we're totally going to take this lady home.
This is our moment.
Yeah, they were lassoing a cougar at this
Oh my
point.
God,
I
that's
mean, I don't know.
hilarious.
And so nothing happened. I like got my wits about me, and then I was like, wake up, what are you doing right now?
Well, because how old is your son?
he's 10.
Oh, he's 10. Okay.
Yeah,
so he's not old enough for you to be like, oh my God, I would date someone that's my son's age, but closer to you. He's getting old enough to where you would be dating men that were closer to his age than your age if they're in their
no,
early 20s.
I don't want to play that game.
No.
Like, I don't want anything to do with that. There was another guy who was like in his 30s, and I just kept looking at his socks, and they had this horrible like ring stain of like kind of, you know, like in a collared like white shirt, that ring around the collar thing, but it was like on his socks, and I just kept thinking like, how would I get those stains out?
That's a mother mentality right there.
And then I was like, and then meanwhile he's like, you're so sexy, and you know, and I'm like, yeah, but your socks. Why are your socks so dirty? I mean, and then I'm like, just stop. I can't do this.
This isn't working.
So you had said I had a cringe moment. Have you ever had a cringe moment? Like, I remember one time when I was super young and I was super drunk. There was this guy that I liked and we were sitting together and I started like licking his finger. I don't know why. And like thinking maybe that's what he liked. And he was just staring at me like, yeah, no. Why are you doing that? And it's not something I enjoy. I don't know why I even did it.
Like, what kind of vibe was he putting? Was he putting off a finger sucking
I have
vibe?
no
Like, I don't get
idea.
it.
He's like a finger in the face.
But that's my cringe moment. I have to think like, what the fuck was I thinking?
You
Why
know,
did
I
do
had that same moment in Vegas, though. I sucked a guy's wedding ring off of his finger.
You did? My
Yes.
ex. So my ex had a friend that would do that. His name was Carl, and every time he would come out with us, like we were always like, fucking Carl, because he would take his hand and he would hold his hand up in front of his face and he would look at us dead in the eye and he would put his ring finger in his mouth, suck his wedding ring off, and then spit it out across the room, and we'd be like, dude, what are you doing? What? Yes.
Like, who is that for? I
Like
don't
for all the single ladies that
Wow.
might want to
So
bag a
stop
married
it.
man that day.
Wow.
Like it was
So he's letting everyone
crazy.
know, for tonight, I'm not married.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Free game.
Yes.
So you
Look out for Carl in Vegas.
Right.
I shouldn't find Carl in Vegas.
So you sucked a wedding ring off of a man?
Yes, I did.
Did he tell you to? Like, how did this go down? I want to. Were you like, you're not married tonight, baby?
Yeah, I know. I'm like, my mom's gonna be so proud of me telling this story right now. Yeah. I'm sorry. What was the last
So
part of that?
what's the set up the story? Why did you do this?
You know what? I can't see, and I remember. How do I remember these details? I can't tell you what I had for lunch yesterday, but I could be like, I was at the Voodoo Lounge, and we had this big like punch bowl with like these huge straws, and it was all like 151 in there. I don't know. The thing had like, it had the dry ice, like literally, like fog is coming out of it. I mean, come on, setting the mood. How do you not suck a wedding ring off of somebody's finger?
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, it got to the point like it's like you're no longer allowed to go to Vegas. Like I'm writing like my room number on my arm so I can get back there later on. It was like
That's why the saying is, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
yeah. So not a proud moment, but it's not my cringe moment though. I don't feel like that one's not.
the leg rubbing on the
Mrs.
20
Robbins,
on the
'cause it's
20-year-old's.
Like, you're old.
leg.
Stop it. You're being
Yeah.
inappropriate. Like, what are you doing?
That's
Yeah.
funny.
So what are you looking for? Are you looking for a serious relationship? Are you looking to get married again?
I think ultimately, yes. I mean, I want like, I'm a long-term relationship person. I'm a relationship person. Let's just put it that way. I've never really truly like dated. I feel like this is like the first time in my life that I have. And it is so weird and I don't know what to do or what to say or how, like, I just don't know the rules anymore for it. But yeah, that's what I want. I would love to find somebody who's a dad and has kids that are similar to like my son's age, where like I don't go out. Like on these, like on dates recently, it was like, where do you want to go? And I'm like, is Blue Martini still a thing? Like, I mean, it's places I haven't been to in like a decade. I don't
If
even
you're
know.
a
Yes,
cougar
it is still
or a
there.
swinger.
I'm like, is Barcelona still open? Like, And so I mean, I just don't go out a lot. And I mean, not that I don't like going out, but it's not in my, it's
And
not
what
my
is your
thing right now.
typical partner? Describe your ideal man.
I don't know. You know what? It's like I don't want to say like husky guys, but like manly guys. I like a good beefy forearm to like hold on to, like on the armrest kind of thing. I don't know. I mean, just somebody who's like handy, who you feel safe with, who's like kind of like can be like protective of you. I don't know. I love this whole beard thing going on lately.
The beard trend.
Yes, I like the beard trend. And then when they like shave it, it's like, ooh.
Beard fish.
What
You get
happened
beard
to you?
fished.
Beard fish. I've never heard that before.
I haven't either. I kind of just made it up. I don't think it's a thing.
Some men do look so different without the beard.
Yeah.
You're like, can you put it back on, please?
I remember the first time my dad shaved his beard off, and my niece was like 3, and she lost her mind. Like, she started crying.
Yeah,
and so now anytime he shaves his beard, he does it in front of the grandkids so they can like see that it's the same person. Like, it's still me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted to touch on one last thing before we move on, but you had made the comment that you're now trying to find yourself again as a sexy woman now that you're ready to date. Because I feel like as mothers, we always put the wants and needs of our kids first. They're our priority. We forget about our wants and our needs.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's so important for the health of the whole family for you to think of your wants and your needs, you know? And they do say that adult relationships, a healthy adult relationship really does help increase the health of the family, makes you happier and decreases the stress hormones in your life, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a struggle. It's a struggle to find, I mean, between working and being, I mean, a single mom. I have, you know, basically custody of my son like 80% of the time. So it's really hard to turn that off. And you get stuck in these ruts and routines. And it's like, okay, wake up, pack a lunch for him. And everything is about them. And I find that like the summer when he goes away with his dad, it is like my release. It's like my time to just do whatever I want. And people are always like, aren't you so sad when your son goes away? And I'm like, no. Like, I can't get him to the airport fast enough.
You drop
like,
him off at the airport and you're like, freedom!
Truly, yeah. I mean,
I have a girlfriend whose custody is set up similarly. So his dad lives out of state, and when he has breaks from school, so 4 times a year, he goes with his dad, and it's like she loves it because that's her free time.
Yes.
To have.
I mean,
to
it
have
is.
it set up
It's
that
and
way.
it's so important. And you know, like there's been times where like maybe the flights were too expensive over Thanksgiving, and so he didn't go. And like, and I missed it. Like I was like, oh man, like I had all these plans. You know, I was gonna like lay in bed and eat ice cream and like binge watch a show, and now I can't.
So you mentioned you'd like to date someone that has kids maybe a similar age. Do you find that it's challenging to date with a child, finding that time to go out when he is here?
Yeah, I mean, it is. I have him all the time, and he's getting to be like of the age where it's like, I'm okay, like leaving him for a couple hours, you know, like that situation. But I mean, then you start talking about like the babysitter situation where it's like, is this guy even worth it?
Yeah.
It's like do you ever watch like the Seinfeld episodes where Elaine was like, is he sponge worthy? And it's like that. It's like, are they babysitter worthy?
Speaking of babysitters, it's a good segue into, are you ready for it?
The Keep More Minutes.
Woohoo!
Sponsored by Tactical Tax Strategies. They help you keep more in your wallet. We help you keep more in your relationship. Our question this week is from Jeremy. He asks, I'm going on a date this weekend with a girl I work with. She has 2 kids, and someone had mentioned that offering to get her babysitter for the night of our date is something that is expected now. Is this true? Am I expected to pay for the date and the babysitter?
Have you heard of this trend before?
I have not, but I want in on this.
I have heard of this before, of women either expecting, and not just a babysitter for the kids, of women expecting the man. And I've had guy friends tell me this. Women will text them before the date and be like, this is my Zelle, or you can Apple Pay me like for the Uber to get to the restaurant, or for the child care for the night. And guys are like, is this a thing now. Like I'm expected to pay for the transportation or the babysitter.
But my husband made a good point. If he has kids, he has to pay for his own babysitter, you know, and now he's expected to pay for not only his babysitter, her babysitter as well, and her Uber and the date. That's expensive.
I mean, I'm kind of thinking like, how big of a slut is this lady?
Right.
You know, like it's just like, is she having to get this many babysitters and is she going on this many dates all the time?
Right.
I know. I could never see myself asking.
I don't have
Absolutely
kids,
not.
but I couldn't. If I did, I wouldn't. That wouldn't be something that I would expect.
I'm still like grabbing for the check, like,
Me too.
you know, where I'm like, can I, you know, like, hey, like, I don't, you know, I'm always offering. I mean, I think there's this part of me that thinks like the guy, especially if they asked you out, like, I think they should pay, but I always offer. Like,
I was the same. When I was single, I would always offer. So there's no way in hell I would have the balls to be like, hey, here's my Uber.
Yeah,
you know,
I would
hey,
never
here's my Zelle.
ask for it. If a guy offered and they were like, hey, can I send you some cash for a babysitter? Sure, thanks. That's great.
Or
That's
I'd just
really
be
nice.
like, you know what?
But
Thanks for the offer. Maybe just get dinner or just get the first round.
Yeah.
I think I would be more like that. I don't think I could ever accept it.
I
don't know. No.
I can't speak because I don't have kids. I can't say what I would do. But like in my little like imagination, I'm like, oh yeah, I think it'd be really cute. I'd accept the offer, but then I'm like, but would I? I have no idea.
But see, in my mind, it's like whenever someone offers something, I'm always like, what kind of strings are attached?
I know.
This?
Yeah.
Now is he expecting me to put out later
Yes.
on because he paid for a babysitter?
Yeah.
Like I don't
or
know.
like, did he pay for a babysitter for 6 hours? But I'd really only rather spend like 45 minutes with the guy.
Yeah.
Then what happens? Then do you have to like refund him?
Oh my god.
Like, do you have to send it
slippery
back?
slope that one.
Right,
Yeah.
it is.
Slippery slope.
It is.
No. Oof.
I think no. I think my answer to that question is no. You should not be expected
You
to
should
pay
not
for the
be
woman's
expected. No.
childcare.
Absolutely. I mean, I guess if he has money and he wants to offer, great, but I don't think it should be expected.
I don't think so.
No, totally agree.
So an article I wanted to discuss with you from yourtango.com, 4 controversial dating opinions that shouldn't be controversial, according to a therapist. So one is, it doesn't matter if you sleep with someone on the first date. I'm a big advocate of this. Why is there so much, why is that taboo? Like, why do people judge people for putting out on the first date? Like, if you're on a date and the sexual chemistry is there, and like, how often do you go on a date with someone that you would want to bang? Not very often. So if we're all grown-ass adults, as long as you're safe about it and, you know, honest, like, why not have, I'm just devil's advocate. Why is it controversial?
I don't know. I don't think it really is anymore. Well, maybe it is. I don't know.
I know a lot of guys from when I was dating that judged women for putting out on the first date. I could never have her as my girlfriend because she put out on the first date. And like, I don't like that mentality. It's very judgy and misogynistic for me because you're doing just the same. So it got to the point where I would ask when I was on a first date, I'd be like, do you judge a girl if she puts out on the first date? Because if you're that close-minded, I don't want to get in a relationship with you. But my husband now is like, when you asked that question, they probably thought you were a slut and you put out on the first date all the time. And I'm like, that's why I was single for 12 years. But I never understood that. Like, I think maybe in Europe they're a bit more open-minded, and when I moved to the States I was kind of baffled that when these guys start talking about how slutty these women are because they have sex on the first date. But I don't know.
I guess it's something that I couldn't see myself personally doing. But to each their own. Like, I mean, what do I care if somebody has or
And
not?
I'm not saying on every date. I'm not saying if you go out on every single first
With
date.
the intention, like it's not the intention.
Yeah, I don't mean that. But I mean, if there's the exception when you're having a great time and you're so attracted to each other, I don't see once in a while there's anything wrong with that. I don't think it's worthy of being judged for and not being worthy enough to be classified as a girlfriend.
Yeah. I think, quite frankly, I would love if this situation were occurring more frequently for me.
Right?
If you could, where I did have this much chemistry with somebody, it was like, let's get to the parking lot now.
Yeah, you had that dilemma.
That would be amazing. Yeah.
So the second one is you should be able to speak up about what you need or want as early as you'd like. So I think I remember when I was dating, I was very open, like with my husband, when we, on our first date, or before we went on a first date, I was like, I want to get married, I want to have kids, like ASAP. And a lot of my friends were like, you should never tell a guy that, like, so quickly, because it's going to turn him off, it's going to send him running for the hills. But if a guy doesn't want to get married and have kids, then I don't want to waste my time, you know? And he wanted the same thing. Within a month, we moved in together. Within 5 months, we were pregnant. Luckily, it worked out. We're still together. 10 years later, I got lucky. But I don't think there's anything wrong with You know, like I remember I went on a date with a dentist and everything was there, great chemistry, but he didn't want kids. So I didn't go on a second date with him and he kept trying. I'm like, dude, you don't want kids. That's non-negotiable for me, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't waste my time. But I think it's fine to talk about what you want straight off the bat. Do you guys think?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think certainly like at my age, I mean, TikTok, like I don't have much time left, you know? And so, yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Do you want to get married again?
I mean, I would, but it's not, you know, I feel like when you're in your 20s and everyone's getting married and you're just like, oh my God, I need to get married. And then it leads to all these people getting married to the wrong people and then getting divorced. Now, not so much. I even like these people who aren't like cohabitating too. Like, I'm like, that's kind of an interesting idea where people like are just together and they don't even move in with each other anymore. I'm like, I could see that too. I don't know. I'm totally... It has like I just need the right person to come along, and then who knows? Everything that I have just said now goes out the window.
Right?
I don't
Exactly.
know. I'm sleeping up with him on the first date, and we're getting married the next day.
And for that reason, I think it's okay to talk about what you want and don't want on the first date, because it's like if you meet someone that really, really, really wants to get married, it might be like, okay, well, hold the horses. Like, I don't know if that's what I want. So it's like it is probably good to get on the same page right away.
And I feel like in other instances when you're newly dating guys, it's good to be, communication is key to communicate everything that's on your mind, because I know like a lot of things go over men's heads. They just don't think, and they'll be like, well, I'm not a mind reader. Why didn't you tell me? You know? So the next one is you can introduce them to your friends as soon as you want. Like, why would that be controversial? Like, I think it's fine to family, maybe wait a couple of dates.
Yeah.
But I think friends, I'm fine on the first date, you know, introducing them to my friends or me meeting his friends.
It depends. My friends are like my family. I don't have a lot of like friends who I don't consider like super close to me. So I do not introduce guys to my friends right away. No.
What about you?
I'm on the fence about this one because my friends, because I have such terrible, like I've made such terrible choices with men that now they're like, you're not allowed to date.
Judging you.
Yes, they're like, you are not allowed to date anybody until we meet them. Like, you know.
That's funny.
So now they've put that out there. So it's like now it's like I have to introduce them. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I had something recently that I invited them, like all my friends, we were like going to watch the Lions game. You know, I'm like, hey, if you want to like come meet us up there, because I kind of wanted them to meet him and see, you know, like what they're like in the wild, like and around other people, not just us staring at each other like across like the table at a dinner. And yeah, and they like, I don't know, they made up some reason of why like they couldn't. And so, but and then I was thinking, I'm like, did they not come because they thought it was like too soon to meet my friends?
Probably.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, for me, I'm like, I don't care. Like, but who knows?
And the last one is, if they wanted to, they would, is too simplistic. You should never listen to that advice. Like if they wanted to.
So like if he wanted to come watch the Lions play on that day, he would have.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's more of like an effort thing. Like women who are like, oh, he's not calling every day. He's not initiating dates. Like if he wanted to, he would. If he was interested, he would. I think that's what it means.
Or like, you know, if he wanted to go on that vacation, he would have, but maybe he can't afford it. Or if he wanted to go out with you again, he would ask you out, but maybe he's, you know, struggling with something. I don't know. But they say you shouldn't listen to those words of advice.
I'm struggling though with the text messaging, with like the amount of communication that you're supposed to be having with people. I have no idea.
I struggle with that too, because I'm not a very needy person when it comes to communication. I can go days without talking to someone and then talk to them and feel just as close and connected to them as I did the last time that I saw them. Okay. And I feel like people aren't like that anymore, because the communication, the phones are so just in our hands and so instant, and people feel like they have to have communication and access to you at all times. And it's like people get butthurt where it's like, you didn't text me yesterday. And I'm like, well, sorry.
Or I hate that when like they send a text and you're busy, and then they send a question mark and you're busy, and they're like, hello.
Yes, like, can I take a shower? Can I clean the kitchen? Like, can I do something before I pick up my phone and respond to your message?
Do you like it when guys message you in the morning, like, good morning, and, you know, good night?
I don't know. I haven't gotten there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just truly don't know. I don't know what's too much communication and what's, you know, not enough. I think it would be sweet. It would be nice. But then it's like, okay, we've gone on one date, and like, maybe that's too soon. I don't know. what is that, like a 4th date, and then they can start texting you in the morning? I don't know. I don't know what the rules. I don't know what any of the rules are anymore.
Well, and the other thing too is a lot of times the communication starts off really like strong and a lot and hot and heavy and every day and all day. And then as it tapers, I think that's where the confusion comes in too, because it's like once you've set the standard to be one way, where it's like constant communication and constant texting back and forth and calling and that, and then when it sorts to like naturally just slow down a little bit, I think people get freaked out because they're like, well, if he wanted to, he would. If he wanted to, he would. If he wanted to text me, he would. So he must not want to text me. So I better go text somebody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that sort of convolutes the whole thing too.
So now it's time for the celebrity cut, where we marinate in the juices of the celebrity. So I feel like we have to talk about this because every podcast is talking about it. You know what I'm going to say? Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, or fake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, as they say, or baked Lively because she's cooked, and Ryan Reynolds because he's fried his way into this. Do you follow that?
Yes, I have been, and I'm literally like, ooh, yes, let's talk about it.
I'm like obsessed too, and like, so I
I don't
follow
know why I'm
Candace
obsessed.
Owens, and it's crazy how this has really caused this country to come together, because Candace Owens is very far right, isn't she?
Yeah, yeah.
Like very conservative, and all these liberals are now following her like me because she gives such great, recaps.
Who is
of
she?
it.
Is she like a political person?
Yeah.
Okay.
And but yeah, so it's funny how their terrible personalities are bringing us together as a country. But it's just crazy to me how, like, she was the one that started this lawsuit, and she opened the can of worms, and now she's trying to put the gag order on his lawyer, and she came out with receipts that were doctored, and now he's come out with all these receipts to contradict that, has a website with like all the text messages and all the emails.
Yeah, the text messages. I've totally been reading.
What do you
like,
think?
The text
The
messages.
one that's like never with teeth?
Well, what's funny to me is that she accused him of sexual harassment, but then you look at these texts and she's the one talking about suppositories, things going on up her butt. Ryan Reynolds is the one talking about getting one of the crew's face tattooed on his perineum, which is the place in between your butthole and your penis. Like,
Thanks
they're
for
ones,
the anatomical
but they're the ones.
And
definition.
I am a nurse. I can confirm that is the correct terminology.
Did I pronounce it correctly? Perineum.
Or the gooch. You can call it that too if you want.
That's another name for it. But it's just crazy to me how they're just as bad, and then like all the text messages or all the claims that she had, like she's like, oh, he walked in on me breastfeeding. But then there's a text that says, hey, if you want to go over lines, I'm just in my trailer breastfeeding, come on in. Like there's so many texts that like go against what she's claiming. There was a meme that I saw that said, Blake Lively is in critical condition when she learns she needs evidence when going to court. Because like I feel like she has no receipts, but he does, right?
Yeah, I have totally flip-flopped on this. I feel like initially I like sided with her and I'm like, man, this guy's terrible. And then now I'm like Team Justin right now. And then all the like the stuff that's in Deadpool. Like, have you like all those comparisons
Nice
of like,
pool?
yes, the nice pool thing and like, and correlating all of that now.
It's really petty. Isn't it kind of pathetic, the extent that they went to? Like, how childish are you? And how like she thanks in the credits of it ends with us. She thanks Gordon Reynolds.
Yes.
Who was the actor of Nice Pool. Nice Pool was making fun of Justin Baldoni.
But then the Taylor Swift stuff now.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And now I'm sucked into this and I'm like, does Taylor hate Blake now? Like,
Is she going to be at the Super Bowl?
that text
No.
that where
I
Blake's
don't think
calling
she's going to either.
the
Taylor
Khaleesi, the
Justin,
dragon.
Like, is Taylor, are they feuding now? Will they be at the Super Bowl together?
Yeah.
No, I went down the rabbit hole. I'm totally on the side of the conspiracy. I think Blake Lively fell in love with him.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think she fell for him on the set and got in trouble with her husband, and this is her attempt to try to clean it up.
Well, why else would he request to see all the dailies, all the edits from the day? And why else would he start showing up to set?
Yes.
Right? And watching her.
Yeah.
So, anywho, that's crazy. Do you guys have any stories about shitty celebrities? Have you ever met any celebrities that were so super rude? I love hearing these.
I don't have any. No.
No.
I honestly, I feel like out in like public, I don't even think I would recognize somebody.
I don't think I would
I'm
either.
so
I'm not.
oblivious.
I am too. I
Yeah.
am not paying attention. Like
Yeah.
I am not.
So, I have a
that
couple.
person.
So, do you know Isla Fisher?
Yeah.
So she was in Wedding Crashers. So she was big in Australia, and in Europe before she was big here. And I used to serve at an Asian restaurant in London when I was in college. And she came in the morning. She was the only one in the restaurant and was just like, get me a glass of orange juice. She was so rude. And I was like, okay. She's like, but is it fresh? Is it freshly squeezed? I was like, yes, it is. She's like, well, I don't want it if it's not freshly squeezed. Like, she just had major attitude. And I confirmed, yes, it's freshly squeezed every day. And I gave it to her. And she's like, are you sure this is freshly squeezed? Like, she kept going on about it, like in a very negative tone, you know? Yeah. So she's one celebrity that I was just...
Was this like post-wedding? Like, was she famous
This was in 2001. So she was famous in England and Australia. She was in a show called Home and Away, but she wasn't famous in the US yet.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And then I have another one. Robbie Williams, the English singer. I don't know if people know him here.
No.
He was in Take That.
I know like one of his songs.
Yeah, Angel. It was a big song here. I think Jessica Simpson came out with it and he covered it. I don't know. Anyways, I was heartbroken because I was a big Robbie Williams fan. And I was in Tokyo and I was 14 years old at a nightclub. Don't ask why I was at a nightclub at 14 years old. But he was there and I went up to him and I'm like, oh, because we're in Japan. I'm like, Robbie, you're from the same place I'm from. We're both from England. And I was so excited. He's like, yeah, and so what? I was so devastated.
I had this is such a stupid story. There was like when I grew up in Michigan, and so there was this one radio show that was on in the mornings that I like always listened to, and it was like these two like older guys, like they were like the hosts of the show, and they were doing a CD signing at like a Best Buy somewhere, and I like stood in line, and the entire time I'm like, just say something funny, like come up with something really good so they'll remember you and talk about you or something. Like I don't even know. I wanted to impress these people, and I got up there and like handed them the CD and was like, can you sign it? It was like, and then I like walked away and I was like, damn it. Like I was so upset about it, you know?
Then you hate those moments and you kick yourself off.
And then I'm like, what did I think was going to happen?
Like they were going to fall in love with you or something.
I know. And they were like old, you know, it wasn't even, it was so strange. I don't even know but they were hilarious and I appreciated that.
So do you have a favorite date spot, like restaurant or bar or that you love men to take you to?
No, I do not. And I actually, out of my own suggestion, I went on a date to Costco recently.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Shopping at Costco, but for the free samples?
I thought it was just kind of genius, like on my behalf, because it was like, I've got things I need to get there. They've got things they probably need to get there. And then you're not awkwardly like sitting across from one another. And it was like, we've got a cart. And then if it goes horribly, it's like, see you later. Or it's like, you want a slice of pizza?
That's genius.
And actually afterwards, we ended up like putting our stuff in the cars and then we met up and like went to dinner afterwards. But it was like a nice little chatting, like, you know, and then you get to see like, what are you getting? Like,
and can we split this? Like, you know, because you know how it's like such big...
I don't need this much toilet paper.
Exactly.
There's 2 people in my house.
I feel like you can't go to Costco and spend less than $200.
I know.
Right?
Yeah. I know. That is true. It would be a good test. Like, can you afford to shop at Costco?
So, yes, absolutely strange and bizarre, but this person was, like, down for it. And I'm like, hey, 2 birds, 1 stone. I'm going on a, you know, potentially horrible date, but at least I get my, like, grocery shopping done.
Also, Costco pizza is, like, so good.
It's so good. Even their hot dogs, isn't it, like $1.50 for a hot dog and a soda?
Yeah.
Like, jackpot. Yum. You know what I like? Have you been to the Yard? It's Sam Fox, right? I love the Yard because they have great cocktails and great appetizers. Their cheese fondue, I love cheese. I'm obsessed with it. And then you have games there too. So you can play cornhole, and I think they have ping pong. Like you can have a little bit to eat, a little bit to drink. You can play games, a bit of everything. I kind of like that.
Yeah. Good spot.
I think it's time to ask Jenna a truth or dare.
Oh boy.
Are you down for the meat grab?
I know we haven't even seen much of this potty mouth that you forewarned us about. I know,
I'm sorry.
She better and watch. She'll get like a tame one.
She'll get the most vanilla question.
Okay, so I'm just reading this.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever accidentally sent a sext to the wrong person?
Ooh.
No, I have not. Have I sent a sext? Yes. Yes, I have.
But not to the wrong person.
But not to the wrong person.
I never sent a sext to the wrong person, but when I first moved here to Arizona in 2012, I had this guy that I was dating back home who ended up moving here also, and we like tried to make it work and it didn't work, and we ended up breaking up. And as we were breaking up, I remember he texted me something and I didn't know how to respond to it, and I screenshotted it to send to my friend to go, oh my God, can you believe he's asking me this? What do I even say? And I sent it back to him. Yes, I sent it back to him. And I am like traumatized by that. And I check my screenshots every single time. Like even if they're not incriminating, even if they're not talking shit, like even if it's just like I'm screenshotting something to send to my mom or something, like I check to make sure I'm sending it to the right person because I'm like traumatized.
I have a friend, we did a trip together, a group of friends, and we had a shared album. And one of the girls sent a picture to the shared album of her with the dildo, like in her legs open.
No.
And she shared it to the wrong album or did it accidentally. And my husband called her right away and was like, I think you sent that to the wrong album. And she was fucking mortified. Like it was like 6 a.m. And I'm like, I think everyone's still sleeping. I think you're good. That is my worst nightmare.
Or do you just like own it? And you're like, no, that was supposed to go to all of you.
I'm going to show you how much fun I'm having.
Yeah, good morning. What do you think? Do I bleach down here? Like, is my labia holding up? Like,
how's it looking?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I have gotten like the dick pics though, which I've always been firmly against dick pics. I'm like, why do I want this? But now I'm like, I feel like maybe I do.
I don't know.
Can you put like a dollar bill next to it so I like get a good idea of like
comparison.
The size
Yeah.
here? You know, because now I'm like, great. What if I meet this guy, we have great chemistry, and then I come to find out, like, wonk, wonk, wonk.
Well, I think there is a way. There is a way to tastefully send a dick pic. There is. There is.
How?
There is.
Did you put like a little bow around it?
No.
How would you send a dick pic tastefully?
If you could send a dick pic, how would you send it?
I mean, unsolicited. Or like, I mean, I just feel like there's an energy. There's like a banter back and forth to where it's like there is an appropriate time to send a dick pic. I feel.
Like what?
I don't know.
Maybe if you're sexting.
Like if you're sexting.
If you're sexting and the girl's kind of in the mood and
Yes. There is an appropriate time. Most of the time it's inappropriate. So it's funny because I actually have a dick pic on my phone right now, and it wasn't sent to me, it was sent to my friend. So this is the only thing about dick pics, guys. If you're gonna send a dick pic, just know that if the girl isn't asking you for it, it's probably going to get sent to all of her friends, and they will all make fun of you forever for it. So like, I still have this dick pic that this guy sent my friend. I don't think he even said anything. I think he sent the pic and his address, and that was it.
Oh.
Wow.
Bold move. And shoot your shot.
And to this day, I still have this picture in my phone, and his nickname is Long Dick Schlong, and we talk about him all the time, and it's so funny. But like that's an inappropriately sent.
You miss all the shots you don't take.
I don't know. Like my friend used to get a ton of dick pics. Tons. And then I started like getting like butthurt about it because I'm like, how come nobody's sending me any dick pics?
I know. I don't get them often, but
weren't we in Prescott for Rochelle's bachelorette party? And we did like a post. It was like, hey, if anyone wants to buy the bachelorette a shot, you know, Venmo us $5.
Yeah.
And this guy Venmo'd how much?
$20 and a dick pic.
And a dick pic.
Appropriate. That's an appropriate. And it was a nice one.
Oh.
I've had people send me, I have a friend that sent me like a screenshot from her camera roll, but all the other, you know how they have all the other, and there were naughty pictures in there. And I'm like, oh man, I didn't have the heart to tell her. Next time maybe. Do you have any other questions?
No, I don't think so.
That's a wrap. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of The Meat Market. Thank you so much, Jenna. If you want to meet Jenna, take her on a date, send us a DM at Meat Market Podcast. Don't forget to like, follow, and share. And thank you so much to our sponsor, Tactical Tax Strategies. If you want to save your money this tax season and keep more in your wallet, you need to contact Tactical Tax Strategies. See you next week at The Meat Market. Oh my God, I just totally got catfished. He looks absolutely nothing like his picture.
So I found out the guy that I've been dating is married with kids. His wife just reached out to me.